like to invite Jordan Tigani to join us. He is the Chief Product Officer at SingleStore. Jordan, thank you for joining us. Before we discuss the exciting details of these new capabilities, tell us a little bit more about why you are on this mission with SingleStore. This isn't the first database you have built.
Sure. Thank you very much. I joined SingleStore about a year ago. I was one of the founding engineers on Google BigQuery. I also I helped lead the engineering team, then the product team later. And when we started BigQuery, it was a handful of engineers, and we sat around trying to figure out what we wanted to build. And what we came up with is we wanted to have the one database for all the world's structured data. And it sounded crazy at the time, a couple engineers and an idea and some space to work on it. And 10 years later, we got to a point where we had exabytes of data. We were using millions of CPU cores to process that data, but we were being pushed in ways that were where we couldn't go. And so, despite the fact that we had come really far on this journey, applications were still kind of off limits. Based on the architecture, based on how the database was built, we couldn't hit the low latencies that if you're going to build a database for applications that you need. It was great for analytics, great for data warehousing, but there was something missing. And so then this company was then called MemSQL, contacted me about perhaps a job there. And I sort of recognized that the technology that they had built could solve that problem, because they had at the time this internal technology, that they were still developing. It was called SingleStore. It was this ability to sort of marry the different types of queries you'd want to do in a single table type, so that you could run an analytics query, you could run a transactional query, you could run full text search. You could run, some types of graph queries as well, time series, and I recognized that, hey, this could be it. This could be the thing that lets us build the single store for all the world's data. Again, it sounds like we're a lot of hyperbole at this point, and I'm not, I'm an engineer at heart. I'm not really prone to hyperbole, but you set the goals big, and you build the architecture, the infrastructure that you need to get to those goals. And I think at SingleStore, particularly with what we're releasing today, has those pieces that we need.
Very good. So Jordan, tell us about these new capabilities then.
Well, so Raj gave a great introduction to the capabilities, and I think he talks about them better than I could. But I think one of the things he mentioned was, the whole is more than the sum of the parts. And we were sitting around a few months ago and talking about the things that we were launching and what we were going to release. And we had all these great features, and then we started to add them up, and we realized, wow, there's some really cool things that you're going to be able to do now, and ways you can consider SingleStore that you might not have been able to consider it before. And I kind of divided it up into a couple of different parts. The first is trusted. If you're going to run your business on a database, you need to trust that database. So first of all, you might have, for regulatory and compliance reasons, you might need certain certifications. We're announcing today that we have ISO 27001, we have SOC 2, we have HIPAA compliance for our managed service. So if you require those things, you can rely on SingleStore to treat your data, your sensitive data with the with the privacy that it deserves and the security controls that it needs. The next part of that, as Raj mentioned, is the point-in-time restore. So if you're gonna run your business on a database, you want to make sure that if you screw something up, or if we screw something up, something happens, a natural disaster screws something up, that you can get back to where you were before it got screwed up. And that could be any point in time in the past. And so that's a big step in making SingleStore, reliable as a system of record database. And we've had some of the most demanding customers using SingleStore for mission critical applications before. Goldman Sachs is has been one of our key customers for a long time. There's nobody that pushes us harder than them on making sure that we're going to keep track of their data. But these features and these certifications really help us communicate to the world that we are ready to run your workloads. The next part is in the storage technology, and I am a bit of a storage chauvinist. I built the BigQuery storage system, and so I tend to think of everything in terms of storage. But we have built an incredible storage system at SingleStore, and two of those big features are being released. One is we called it bottomless, was the internal code name, but it's our separation of storage and compute that gives you unlimited storage. The second part of that is the SingleStore technology, this universal storage technology that is what lets SingleStore run analytic queries, run transactional queries, run full text search queries across the breadth, and really lets us be the one database that you need in your application. And I think that I haven't seen another database that can do these kinds of things. People said it was impossible to put your applications, your transactions, and your analytics in the same database. And I think we are an existence proof, and our customers are an existence proof that this can work. And then the third side is, if you're gonna trust your data, if you're gonna trust your application to a database, you want to make sure that it's going to be around. You want to make sure that it's going to be the forward looking. You want to make sure that it's going to run well in the cloud. And we have sort of built a cloud native system, and the way I think of cloud native is can you do things that can only be done on the cloud? And with our separation of storage and compute, which is really a fundamentally cloud technology, with our ability to pause and resume clusters, the pay for what you use, the credit-based model, these are things that you really can only do in the cloud. But then we're going beyond that, which is basically we're taking that on-prem, which sounds bizarre, as things you can only do in the cloud, but also doing it on-prem. But things like separation of storage and compute, which is really a cloud idea, but we're making that run so that can run on your own object store. So if you're running Ceph or Cohesity, we will be able to use that on your own object store with the kind of unlimited point-in-time restore. A lot of times people don't have unlimited point-in-time restore with their on-prem databases because they're limited by the amount of storage that they have. And when you're limited by the amount of storage that you have to have these arbitrary cutoff points. You don't want to fill up your disk and then have your database not be able to function because you filled it up with backups. And then the other side of that is if you don't have enough disk, we can back it up to the cloud. So you can put it on S3. You can have your backups in S3 to give you virtually unlimited storage, even if you are running on premise. And you kind of combine all those things together. Is like, hey, the database you can trust, the database that can run any workloads, and the database of the future, or the database that's cloud native, and that's why we're making these sort of bold claims, because we do think that this is something pretty extraordinary.